People, welcome back to Politricks Watch. This is Sir P. Now, today I'm going to talk about the late, great Robert Nesta Marley. But I'm going to take the video down a path you're probably not expecting. I'm going to be talking about the many gunmen, 87s, 90s, killers that were around the great artist. Now, as you sip on your Milo, or your Cersei tea, or your Horlicks, you're probably thinking to yourself, what kind of madness are going to start now? How Bob Marley name and gunman must be used in the same sentence? Don't worry, by the end of the video, it will all make sense. But before I go any further, you hear me talk about the PIA all the time, right? And if you're gonna have a name, you need to have a symbol. There it is, it's right there on your screen. That is the official symbol, the official logo, or whatever you want to call it, of the PIA. And don't worry, there's now a mug with this logo on it, links in the description. Now, people, I want you to understand something. Robert Nesta Marley, aka Bob Marley, a man who is so great, even in death, he continues to outshine artists that are still alive. We're talking about the top 0.001% of talent, people who just defy convention, people who just break all the rules. When you try to look at it from a logical point of view, when you try to figure it out and see if you can get the formula, you just can't get it. Bob Marley is in a group of successful entertainers, right? The upper echelon of entertainers, not just in Jamaica, forget Jamaica. We're talking about the world. We're talking about being in a group of people, right? The same caliber of artists, of successful artists, like people like your Michael Jacksons, groups like the Beatles. That is where Bob Marley play, in the Champions League of singers slash songwriters slash entertainers. Now, just to give you some numbers, because I understand in Jamaican culture, we're not driven heavy by data and numbers. Instead, people tend to rely on their feelings. I feel like, say, the artists are bigger than this. I feel like, say, my artists are the biggest. Now you can feel what you want. But when it's time to have that conversation about true greatness, right? Not just corner shop greatness, not just pound the block, run the city greatness, or even run the country greatness. We're talking about critical acclaim and commercial success. See, a lot of people in our culture like to pretend like numbers don't matter. See, these people want you to ignore the amount of Ballon d'Ors that Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo have. Ignore the fact that Real Madrid have 13 Champions League. Ignore the fact that Barcelona and Manchester United and these clubs just keep on winning and have all this success. And they want you to believe, say, well, them feel like for them little five side is the best team that's ever made. Don't care about the numbers, you can't tell me nothing. Well, let me give you the numbers. Bob Marley's album, Legend. You know the album that for some reason seemed like it cannot go away off the charts? Here's some facts for you. Legend is the second, or has the second longest run in Billboard history on the Billboard 200 album charts. Let me repeat that. In the entire history of the Billboard 200 album chart, Legend has the second longest run. Not in Jamaica, not in the Caribbean, not artists with locks, not Caribbean artists ever, period. Any artist you want to think of, any album you want to think of, there's only one that has had a longer run on the Billboard 200 charts. There is no competition here. Matter of fact, Bob Marley is what I would describe as a victim of his own success. What do I mean by that? Don't worry, we're getting at the bad man part. But let me tell you something. There is such a thing as winning too much, because the human mind cannot process too much success over a long period of time. It simply isn't natural. You win today, you lose tomorrow. You win today, you lose tomorrow. That's natural. When somebody shoots to the top and continues to stay there and win Premier League after Premier League after Premier League, eventually it wears people down, and at first they're happy for you. At first they clap their hands, they're like, well done Real Madrid, you've won the Champions League. But when you win 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, guess what? people start to resent you. Bob Marley has resentment. People abroad, if you're a foreigner, as in you might have Jamaican family but you never really been to Jamaica, or you literally are a true foreigner, you're not Jamaican. This might be news to you. This might be news to you because you're thinking, what? Resentment towards Bob Marley? Yes, it's time we talk about it. A lot of Jamaicans are not very fond of Bob Marley. And when you listen to why they're not fond of Bob Marley, you see it's because Bob Marley is at a stage of success where you have to start nitpicking. When somebody win too much, you have to start picking, alright, but me never like when him do this. Okay, but why him shouldn't do this? You're nitpicking. People don't really have anything bad to say about Bob Marley. He's a victim of his own success. Think about it. You know much people have them favorite artists. Artists that we hear say hot. Artists that we hear say hype. Artists that we hear say run the place. And when artists drop them album come second to a man that did from Happy Kill Filler. This is very demoralizing. Imagine me a boost up my artist. Best thing me ever hear. Right, see there, everywhere me go me hear him song. When him drop him album, it's over. It's over. Bob Marley's going to get knocked off his perch, and we're going to show him only if he say Bob in debt continue to outsell every single artist. I understand it's frustrating. It's frustrating. Now, one of the things you might not have heard, but me hear it because they don't know, due to the platform I have, people from all walks of life message me with all kind of theories and how come you not talk about this? You ever talk about this because, and one of the things that consistently come up is the fact that why you not talk about the fact that Bob Marley did a par with Be Gunman. The first time I heard it, I completely shrugged it off. I just thought, you know what, Simon is having a bad day, make him go on. But it kept coming over and over from different people. I'm like, you know what, this is actually an argument. Clearly people are at corner shop, people are in bars talking about the fact that supposedly, because what the narrative they're trying to shape is that Bob Marley is this criminal DJ who will parrot be a bad man, and the bad man might do things almost like say a Bob or send them go do things. That is how this video was born. Now I want you to look at your screen right now. This photo you're looking at is often presented as evidence that seat Bob Marley mix up knee deep in the badness game. After all, look at the three man name where they run him. Now for those of you who are unaware, I will break it down for you. The man to the far left, that right there, is Claude Massop, aka Claudy Massop, the former Don for Tivoli Garden. Right. Beside him, Anthony Welsh, aka Tony Welsh. And to the far right, that right there is Earl Wadley, aka Tech Life. Now, when a man have a name like Tech Life, you already know it's not about a mosquito life. So, I guess it's fair to assume, if you're a complete stranger, if you're not familiar with the culture, if you see Bob Marley and a man are these three men running, one of them named Tech Life, right, then you might be inclined to say, well, Bob mix up in a badness. Couple that with the fact that Bob Marley's Hope Road address was known for having all kind of 87s pass through. What is going on? Is the late great Robert Nesta Marley mixed up in a gunman thing? Right? Imagine how much 87s, how much shooters, how much killers you stick out Hope Road and people see them sitting and chill out and a reason under the tree. I drink a one beer, people are saying, no man, something is wrong here. Bob Marley possibly living a double life. That is what we're going to look into. Now, of course, we could start one by one, and then we're going to give you the context of this picture. Claudy Massop, you would have seen my video on him. If you haven't, it's on the channel, you can go search for it. He was the strong man for West Kingston, Tivoli Garden. And from your ear down for Tivoli Garden, you know he was aligned with the Jamaica Labour Party. And in February 1979, 1 year before the Edward Seaga-led JLP won the 1980 election in that landslide, Massop lost his life under very spooky circumstances. right? And a matter of fact, I'm actually going to show you his official death certificate right now. In the top left, it says place of death at the intersection of Marcus Garvey Drive and Industrial Terrace, right? That's in Kingston, right? Under that, you see him name and him age. But when it comes down to cause of death, listen to this, and I want you to listen carefully, right? It says, and I quote, death was due to multiple gunshot wounds, and all 26 policemen who took part in the operation at Marcus Garvey Drive and Industrial Terrace are criminally responsible, end quote. 26 policemen. One time them did the autopsy upon Claudia Massop body, about 40 shot, them finding him. All under him arm, him get shot. That's how badly they mash up Claudia Massop. And what made things worse, 1979 was the last year that the then Michael Manley-led PNP was in power, because, as I said, the following year the JLP won. So the fact that a big-time JLP don got killed by the police while the PNP was in power, you can already imagine the tempers were flaring, right? But that's just a brief rundown of Claudia Massop. He was a don, he was a killer, he was feared, and he went out in spooky circumstances. But I'm just putting that out there so you understand why somebody would have say, oh, Bob Marley surrounded by gunman. Let's move on to the other person beside Massop. That is Milton Anthony Welsh. Now, he was a PNP enforcer. Now, that alone should show you that this picture is not a normal picture, because you have a certified JLP don sitting next to a PNP don. Now, Tony Welsh, junglist people know him very, very well. Most of the stories you will hear probably come from jungle when he was in the streets in Kingston, because Tony Welsh and Claudia Massop and them money fed them up. These are the old school type of dons. Matter of fact, I'd go as far as to say these people, your fed them ups, your Tony Welsh, your Claudia Massop, right, your Bucky Marshall, these people are the true ideal example of 90 octanes, because they possessed not just the runoff era thing, not just bad man on the block thing, but they were actually directly linking with politicians overtly. That's key, because you see nowadays politician and don link behind closed doors and in the dark and in a meeting place over here. So, but in this time, it was perfectly normal to see a don and a politician apart, and when the don drop out, the politician would make sure say him at the front of the don ceremony and lead the procession. That's how things worked back then. There was no hiding, right? It's after the whole culture changed and people say, well, politicians must distance themselves from don. That's when you see politicians start act brand new. But back then, in the Tony Welsh days, in our Claudia Massop days, there really wasn't much hiding, right? So even though Tony Welsh's name is associated with the jungle, a lot of people don't talk about the role he played in another community, a St. Andrew community, known as Brandon Hill. The residents, the people who come from Brandon Hill can tell you, when Tony Welsh come back into the place, he turned things up several notches. Several notches, because Tony Welsh had all the experience from being in the city, he had all the links, he had all the big time connections with the various political elites, with other bad men, with other area leaders. When he brought that with him to Brandon Hill, the complexity, the whole face of that area changed. And arguably, the most popular case known or associated with Tony Welsh, because we've never talked about the thing that when they make news, but there was an infamous stabbing of a young man by the name of Damian Hussey, right? He said that a PNP rally take place, right? It happened down there in a community or area known as Golden Spring in St. Andrew. Them said the youth fling stone off of the rally and him end up losing life, right? Again, people, Tony Welsh's life is online, right? If you want to find out about him, you can. I don't want to spend too much time on them, because this is really about Bob Marley. But just know, back in the day, the name Tony Welsh used to drive fear in our people's heart. The brother will say to the far right, his name is Earl Wadley, aka Tech Life. Now, I don't even need to explain to you what type of person you have to be to get a nickname back then, in those times, like Tech Life. So now you start to see the pictures forming up, especially when you consider that this is not even the only picture of Bob Marley next to the same individuals. There is another colored picture, as a matter of fact I'll put it on your screen right now. That's Claudia Massop on the right of Bob Marley, or the right of your screen, and Tech Life on the left of your screen. So clearly he was in contact with these men. So this is always the people look at pictures and don't think about the context. So I'm going to give it to you right now. And I also want you to remember something I said a long time ago. I think it was in a Stone Crusher video, and it's that seasoned soldiers hate war and seasoned 87s hate badness. Seasoned gunmen hate badness. After a while, they get tired of the violence, they get tired of fear run up and down, they get tired of the shootout, they get tired of the jailhouse, and even them can't take it no more. That is what led to the two men you see on the screen right now, Claudia Massop and Bucky Marshall, coming up with the idea for the One Love Peace concert. Now I know that probably gets some people off guard, because the One Love Peace concert that took place in 1978, Bob Marley was the face of it, and a lot of people think it was Bob Marley's idea. Enough people don't know it was actually two gunmen, two dons, who came up with the idea for a peace concert. Because remember, Claudia Massop aligned to the JLP, Bucky Marshall aligned to the PNP. Two men them that jail and come up with the idea for the concert. Extraordinary, right? A peace concert that is envisioned by gunmen. See, Jamaica has been a movie or a Netflix series long time, you know. So people, these two men, Bucky Marshall and Claudia Massop, knowing say as era leader, as big and as bad as them is, no matter how much links them have, they don't have the kind of pull, they don't have the gravitas, they don't have the strength of a Bob Marley. So they approached Bob Marley and other artists and then put the idea to him to put on the now famous One Love Peace concert. But it almost never happened, right? Because in 1976, right, December 1976, there was an attempt on Bob Marley's life at Hope Road. Now, again, people always treat this like it's some kind of secret, like there's some kind of, oh, we need to dig and see this spooky. Listen, the survivors literally wrote books about what happened. Everything will happen, and that fateful day is documented in various books. If you want to know, you can go and check it out. Right, I don't want to spend too much time on that because this is not what this video is about. But to make a long story short, the man almost killed Bob Marley and Rita, right, and he survived. A couple of days after the infamous attempt to take his life, Bob Marley took part in the Smile Jamaica show, a show that is now legendary, right, and people were saying, well, him now go turn up because the man almost killed him off. Bob Marley turned up, he gave a legendary performance. As a matter of fact, at one point, him actually opened up his shirt so that people could see the wounds them, right, or the bandage from the wound them, because one of the round them grazed him chest. I think one went into his hand as well. So after that, Bob Marley left Jamaica. The country was tense. People were saying Bob Marley at take side. It was just best to just go away, lay low, catch him breath, and focus on his music. As a matter of fact, it was this period in London where Bob Marley recorded another legendary album. That one was called Exodus, right? So now, Bob not at Jamaica, he's chilling out in England. The place is tense, the political warfare is getting out of hand. People are saying, boy, the whole country mash up. Back then, the numbers were them that are ball about, then Jamaicans would have give up everything, forget it now, right? So check this, people. The photo you're looking at, 1978. Remember, Bob get shot up 76, he left to go to England. So Claudia Massop, Tony Welsh and Tech Life, they are England, sit down side of Bob Marley. Well, remember, it was originally Massop and Bucky Marshall idea to do the concert. When Massop get released from jail, he then linked up with Welsh and Tech Life and decided they would head to England to convince Bob Marley to come back to carry on or to take part in the show. There simply couldn't be a One Love Peace concert and Bob Marley was not a part of it. So see the picture you see right there, so? That's them negotiating. This is three known gunmen, three known killers, conversing, reassuring Bob Marley that if him come back into the place, he's going to be safe, because obviously I don't know Bob Marley take away himself for safety reasons. They were making him know, listen, nobody can do nothing. If you come back, we are going to look after you. Guess what? Bob Marley agreed. Bob Marley agreed and he went back to Jamaica. 1978, you see on your screen, that was also the same year, obviously, as the famous, the legendary One Love Peace concert that took place on the night of April the 22nd, 1978. And it was at that show, this now iconic photo got snapped. That is Bob Marley in the middle, Edward Seaga on the right, Michael Manley on the left. Now as you can see, the two men them look like them they really wanted it. But you don't know the power and the influence that Bob Marley had. They were like, you know what, step on the stage, show the people them unity. Now this concert, when you talk about legendary artists, remember people, this concert was going to be the example and the proof that music, and in particular reggae music, could play a serious role in cutting down crime and violence, and in particular political warfare. Don't worry, at the end of the video we won't talk about if it was a success or not. But listen to some of the artists them that took part in this show. When I talk about legendary names, here are a few. The Mighty Diamonds, Dennis Brown, Jacob Miller, Big Youth, Barry Hammond, Peter Tosh, Bunny Wailer, of course, as you know, Bob Marley, right? Uriah, be a superstar. Be a superstar. If these men couldn't do it, nobody could. That was the mindset. That was the plan. People, the show went on, great reviews. People them say, see there, make us see what gonna happen now. Make us see what gonna happen now. This is 1978. The end result, after the show, well, not long after, Claudia Massop ended up dead. Bucky Marshall ended up dead. And in 1980, just 2 years after this concert, after people were saying, see, music, reggae, help squash the political warfare, and see the Jamaica is getting better. In 1980, Jamaica would descend into chaos. The bloodiest election in the history of the nation. Over 800 people lose their life in a short space of time. This is why some people argue that the concert, when it comes down to symbolism, right, the image of Bob Marley on the stage holding Edward Seaga hand and Michael Manley hand, and the three of them joining in unison and holding up the man, when you talk about symbolism, that was a powerful moment and a powerful image. However, the reality is that not a single thing was done in terms of making peace. Jamaica actually went on to become worse. But we can't actually expect that a concert will bring about peace, right? We know in the real world that's not what happens. But I could talk about the real world now. You see, Bob Marley, in my opinion, was an idealist. Here's the thing with idealism. Nothing is wrong with it. It's okay to have a utopia in your mind and to, wish the best and expect the best from people. But you see, people who have that kind of mindset, others tend to take advantage of them. And being an idealist in a very violent society can literally cost you your life, right? So people understand this. When you hear the stories about Bob Marley hanging around with gunmen, when you hear say Hope Road, enough gunmen used to go there, pass through on the regular, people from all different walks of life, all different communities, quote unquote bad man place. Everybody who knew Bob Marley, even the people who don't really like him that much, said the same thing. It was Bob Marley trying to play the role as peacemaker. Bob Marley, one of the reasons why these men could approach Bob and sit down with him in London is because Bob Marley used to approach them and used to try to play the role of getting them to come together and squash their differences. Bob Marley always tried to do the whole peacemaker thing. Come, we can sit down and we talk. No man, don't do that. Come at Hope Road. Where you say Jungle and Tivoli are war? Alright, Tivoli man, come at Hope Road. Jungle man, come at Hope Road. Sit down, talk, drink, eat from the same pot. That was Bob Marley. But this is why I say context matter. Because if you just hear say, be a bad man hang out up at Hope Road, if you just see the picture of Bob Marley, side of Tony Welsh, side of Claudia Massop, side of Take Life, right, and you don't actually know the background to it, then that is how people start to form narrative and say, you know what, old Bob was living a double life. Old Bob was some kind of entertainer 90 octane, when in reality, old Bob was just an idealist who felt that he could gather people together and make them overlook certain things, and everybody could just sit down and laugh and peace would reign. But unfortunately, one of the main setbacks of idealism is that reality and realism normally box it down. You have to think about idealism and realism like two heavyweight fighters. See, idealism is Mike Tyson after him gain the whole heap of weight and start to lose the whole heap of fight them. While realism is Mike Tyson when he was young, when he was the knockout kid, right? When as you walk into the fight, within one round, right, within 30 seconds, you lay them on the ground and the whole of your teeth them gone. And the young Mike Tyson knock out the old one. That's the problem with idealism versus realism, because you're surrounded by people who are very acidic, people who have now become accustomed to solving their issues through violence, and you think, well, maybe me just get them in the same place and make them talk, make them reason, show them say, you know what, it not worth it. Then they might change. Unfortunately, that's not the case. It's like trying to reason with a clansman. Look how much of uno dead. Look how much of uno get used and refused by the system. Look how much of uno shoot 20-30 people if you're done, and as soon as you make one mistake, uno lose one gun, right? Uno get accused of being an informer, right? When all you do was just walk within 10 meters of one police, right? Look how as soon as the man them say you must go up on an officer and you say no go, look what happened to you. But they don't learn, because for some people they're too far gone, especially the Apex 87. Too far gone. You can preach and talk, but the same mistake, and you sit from a distance and you scratch your head and you can't understand what's going on. You can't understand how them can't see where you are sick. That's because their vision is clouded by acidity. Bob Marley was surrounded by lots of those people. Bob Marley tried to help those people, right? But of course, you know the saying, no good deed goes unpunished. You can help all the people you want, right? You can try and feed the poor. You can try and sit down and reason with every gunman who's ever lived. But 10, 20, 30 years from now, people will start to shape narratives that, well, the fact say this done with so much gunman, and so much gunman come in the yard, that means to say you were some kind of Don. And your image of being this peacemaker, of being this man who was trying to do the right thing, is a complete phony. Nobody is immune to this. Nobody is immune to this. Even the great Bob Marley. See, sometimes when people can't write the story for you when you're alive, then wait till they're dead. Who knows how we'll all be remembered? Even this movement, who knows how I'll be remembered? 50 years from now, somebody might rewrite the narrative, because people slowly try and rewrite Bob Marley's narrative. Now we get pushback, but if you're not careful, it will extend and get worse and worse. And next thing you know, Bob Marley, the man who after almost losing his life, still come take part in that legendary concert, right? The man who everybody around him, from every ghetto, say he did all this for poor people and he tried to do this and he tried to do that. People still find something to hate him for. People still find a narrative that is acidic and trying to attach it to his name. So if you're wondering why Bob Marley surrounded by so many killers, so many gunmen, no, you know. No, you know. Anyway, people, this is the video for today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. By now your tea is supposed to done, right? I won't nobody put rice and peas in a bun up, because when I listen to the video and forget to put the pan fire, right? People, be safe. You don't know. We have to big up the squad them, right? First, I want to shout out Vulture Squad, right? Hopefully they might find a look at 1 or 2 discrepancy, and you know, they can build a one video and eat a food. I wish you all the best. Even vultures have to eat. People, remember, this is an ecosystem, and in an ecosystem, everybody play them role, right? You can't be upset with the vulture because he fly around all day and wait till the lion and the hippo and the elephant make the kill and then swoop down and pick up the scraps. You can't be upset with the vulture. That's just the way nature works. And just like what I mentioned, when you keep winning for a very long time and people don't really have nothing to say, they have to start nitpick and start going at the, oh, remember one time him did say Honda card when it should have been Honda Civic. I mean, this is just a low level of trolling. I mean, the CIA, FBI, MI5, MI6, BBC, CNN, none of these people, with all their billions, all their resources, all their access, can recreate an event or a scene and get every single detail perfectly correct. Right? There's going to be one or two things where sometimes it's February when it should be March. This is common sense. This is common sense. And people understand this. PIA understand this. What me say, people have to nitpick and people have to find, oh, will you hear that? Him say Honda Civic when it was actually a Honda card. So that means they say, yeah, there are 99 things him say, then they're wrong too. This is, as me say, LIQ level of reasoning. But that's how it goes. We're just gonna keep winning. PIA, we don't see what won already. We don't know who's the people's champ. Patreon squad, thanks for the support as always. Bless.